What got us started on this is one of our sister stations in Louisiana found government agencies there were missing things like 180 computers here, police radios there, and it all added up to 23 million lost taxpayer dollars. And as we found out, Louisiana's process could call attention to problems right here. We poured over hundreds of pages of stuff, technically called fixed assets. Everything from elevators, Fifth Third Field, computer routers, x-ray machines, mowers, and the price tags added to millions. Lucas County and the city of Toledo tell us it's up to the department heads to account for the assets and inventory. The state auditor reviews all that stuff, and WTOL 11 found reports from 2007, 2008, and 2009 where there were problems with the city. Words like failure to comply show up. The city's response at the time, in a nutshell, we're working on it, trying to get a new computer system in to track it all. Patrick McLean is the city's director of finance.
We've had some problems in the past, and we recognize those, and that was sort of a call to action to tell us we have to make sure we're doing things the right way.
Problems like a city backhoe that went missing recently.
How do you lose backhoe was the question that was asked, and rightfully so.
McLean tells us in the past few years there's been a focus to get a better hold of the city's stuff and beyond. Part of those operations is that new computer system called SAP ERP.
One of the things that it has the capability of doing is creating these kinds of lists for assets. So in fact, we're basically benchmarking now, and it's just in this last year that we're putting this in place.
So it took years to finally get a firmer grasp of what your money is paying for. Part of the checks and balances of maintaining records on assets and inventory is this man.
If I see a size D battery with a price of $10, then I ask that question, how did that happen?
Scott Wheelock is the city auditor who works for City Council, the counterbalance to city administration.
I have access to the accounting system. I have access to the payments that the city has made. I have access to payroll.
However, he is the auditor's department. One man with a city of a $600 million budget and a couple thousand employees. He's the one who physically goes to city departments and eyeballs stuff.
Simply counting them. Are there 10 there and the records say there are 10? I'm happy if there's 5 and the records say there are 15 or 1. How did that difference occur?
WTOL 11 found out nearly 100% of the time the city and Lucas County announced to the departments they're coming to make sure everything is on the up and up. However, Lucas County wishes it did more surprise checks. Anita Lopez is the Lucas County auditor.
It would be nice if we could have a little more opportunity to do random audits with the state auditor unannounced.
Lopez tells us she has no authority to audit her peers' financial reports. The state does that and does it announced.
If there were problems, clearly, if you know the state auditor is coming, you're probably going to try to correct whatever actions you may have been taking, knowing that they're coming the same time every year.
Our repeated requests for an interview with someone from the state auditor's office were ignored. We did hear from the office that it, quote, can't look at everything, and that there's no state requirement on exactly how to handle missing items. Unlike what Louisiana does, where there's a separate specific list of items gone missing, that doesn't necessarily happen in our area. But again, it's the auditor's office that checks the assets and inventory. A state auditor's report for 2008 showed Lucas County departments, quote, do not always report information accurately or timely to the auditor's office.
We realized there was no solid system in place in the first place.
Since that report, Lopez tells us there's now a requirement of departments to report every 3 months on assets and inventory.
We are trying to provide as much accountability within the current structure itself, knowing that we don't have a full-time person who can go out and do these inventories.
When there have been problems like copper stolen by former city employee James Laverty or former Lucas County worker Tina Suzanne Lake taking thousands of dollars from a clerk of courts department, the system has worked. But from those who are in charge of looking over the taxpayers, your stuff,
we, the auditor, can't go to every entity, every independently elected official and keep track of their assets.
There's nothing you can do to make sure that nothing goes missing.
One thing that's interesting here, when it comes to checking government departments, the state, the county, the city, nearly every single time tell the departments ahead of time that they're coming. However, when Lucas County checks the gas pumps to make sure they are running accurately, private businesses do not get a heads up. It's always a surprise visit. We will stay on top of this tracking system. I'm Jonathan Walsh, WTOL 11.